we sort of have discussed it, and we decided to do things that are keeping us alive, I guess. Things that are keeping us going.
Things that are making us
things that make us
happy
happy
currently. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not quite as dire as Arlen's making it out to sound.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey,
Here's what's
hyperbole
keeping us going.
Here's what's keeping me out of the cold embrace of death.
Well, that's gonna be the title of the episode. What's keeping us from the cold embrace of death?
I feel like for Eric, it's like not that much.
No, it's the thin amount of whiskey I have left in my system.
Eric's just gonna turn into a puddle of whiskey when you go. That's what's gonna happen.
I've pickled myself, so it's once it dries up, I'm done.
Would you guys mind if I started?
No, go for it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So this is kind of a new thing, but I am very thankful that I have not been tokenized on this podcast as opposed to other podcasts listened to that had to deal with it. But I do actually really like. So I'm talking about How Did This Get Played? Their newest episode, the Thanksgiving quote unquote episode where they played. Was it Colonel Mustard's Revenge? And I do think it is a episode of a podcast that everyone should listen to.
Yes,
it is one of the most cringeworthy things I've ever listened to, but I think it is a lot of interesting discussion in it. That does not get talked about.
I'm also this person. My own personal problem. I just don't think. I think Dick Weiger can be kind of like pretentious at points, but it is a very important episode.
Yes.
My thing is, it is important for people on either side of the political spectrum to hear something like this, but I think it's especially important for people who are proclaimed like liberals and leftists and whatnot to hear, because man, do these people step in it and they didn't even think about it. And then I am a dyed-in-the-wool Northeastern liberal. To hear them try and backtrack and figure out excuses for why they did what they did, it's the most delicious liberal guilt I've ever tasted.
Yes. So
it's so good.
To explain to people, they invite a comedian, I should pull up his goddamn name, onto the podcast to review that game, obviously for the Thanksgiving episode. And he is Native American, and he straight up calls them out. It's like, so you never minded me on the podcast before. I know both of you guys.
Joey Clift is his name.
Yes. Okay. And he grew up on a reservation, and he's like a member of a tribe. And he's like, and you invite me to do this horrendous game and on Thanksgiving for your Thanksgiving episode. And they're like, well, we want to get your point of view. It's like, what? My point of view is this game sucks and it's offensive. Like, like, what did you expect me to say?
Yeah, he said, like, you didn't need me on here. Like, you could have figured this out on your own, that this is offensive to everyone. Like,
And he brings up a really good thing where it's like, and not just about Native Americans, but like, there are times of the year, which you have now is Native Americans, or February for Black people, or like Women's History Month, like, et cetera, where like that's the only time those people get called to do things.
Yep.
And
the one host of the show did have a good point where she brought up like, well, yeah, I guess you're right, because if they're doing something on comedians who happen to be gay, I'll get the call, but I wouldn't if it was just about comedians. And like you can see the egg of knowledge cracking open in her skull as she talks about this, realizing that we done fucked up. And they don't really even talk about the game, which is great.
They don't talk about the game for like 10 minutes.
Well, there's nothing to talk about. It's a garbage game that was made. Like, it was made by a real company. It was made like independently to be like a shitty game. Like, people protested it in 1986. So like,
sorry to interrupt. This is the same company that made a game called Beat 'em and Eat 'em, and it is what it sounds like.
Yeah. And so, like, I know when we talked about in the chat, like, I know, Arlen, not to call you, like, you were like, oh, why did he even do it? But, like, I think this is one of the times where someone who was offended by something went on there to call them out, not just to be an asshole. but to call them out as like a teaching moment. And it was a very good, civil, calm discussion with the most awkward and obvious like pauses of people sitting in like the like to continue with your analogy, Eric, like the yoke on their face of like we done fucked up and we don't know what to do now.
Yeah, like when he goes into it where he's just like, you know, this is 100% on a bit, like, and brings up the tokenization and whatnot. There is like easily like a minute and a half just silence from the hosts.
Yeah, I do have to say, good on them to put it out there. Good on them not to edit it. And to like just do it, put it all on Front Street and show like, yeah, we fucked up.
Yeah,
because that's the best way to deal with it.
Nick Weiger had to keep it even toned the whole time, but I was just listening. I'm like, okay, so one of them wants to just be like, oh shit.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, I was kind of worried because when you first started telling us about it, like I went to download it and I couldn't get it anywhere. It wasn't playing for me anywhere. And I think even you had issues with it at one or two places and then finally got it on Earwolf and then it was working again. So I was worried that they were finally going to give in and be cowards and pull it. But yeah, it's
like not even the whole, like, it's not even the fact that he's Native American. It's also the fact that it's like, he had them come on for their Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah. And they definitely tried to angle it initially where they're like, oh, well, you know, I feel like the indigenous peoples of America don't have much representation, blah, blah. And he brings up the game Prey right away. And then he brings up something else. Then he's like, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. But yeah, yes. It's amazing.
Yes.
And Lou, I wanted to ask you, out of your 3,000 different parts of your heritage, which one do you think would be least offensive for me to tokenize right now?
So us to this group right now, or is least offended by? But no, it is funny. I thought it was a good thing for us to start because, like, I think it was, you know, we're doing a podcast right now. We play video games. We're nerds. It's like it's one of those things you don't think about. But, like, even I didn't think about it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like, you see this all the goddamn time. And there are ways to do it where it works as, like, a bit. But, like, if you're doing it as a bit, which they weren't. They were, but they weren't, which was the problem. So they were doing it as a bit, but they weren't addressing it as a bit.
Like, so they say, like...
Yeah. It's something... one guy I work with, Ron, he's from Trinidad, but he basically is like, you know, I'm not an African American man. I'm from Trinidad, but you know, I look like a black man, so I have to deal with it. Yeah, but he and I were talking about like when Black Panther came out, and he's like, you know, it's kind of fucked up. It came out in February. I'm like, huh. I didn't even think about that. He's like, yeah. And then he and I just got to talking more about it. He's like, yeah, and you know, you'll see this on TV that all of a sudden there'll be more commercials with like black families selling you soup or just black people in general being on more things in February, which he's just like, you know, why does it have to be just this 1 month? And it's like, I'm not arguing with you, man. It's inherently screwed up. Welcome to America.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And the people that are making those things, for the most part, are politically on a side you wouldn't necessarily think would have those issues, but it's kind of that weird, like it's like that subconscious, like kind of bias. I wouldn't say like racism, but like bias.
It's bias.
It's like borderline on it. It's like hard to describe.
It's like unintentional.
Yeah, it's not racism because it's too nihilistic to be pure racism. And yeah, like there was this, I don't know if this truly connects, but to me it does. There was a video essay that I watched recently by Lindsay Ellis. I'm sure I'm the 100th person to reference this essay somewhere on the internet. But in it, she's talking about how Disney is kind of trying to hide some of their past stuff by being super woke now. And just like ignoring the past. Just like yeah, that was racist, but we're not going to actually like
Song of the
do
South.
anything about it. Right. We're not going to like fund a documentary that talks about the bad racist shit that we did in the past. We're just
Like,
going to
with not even, like,
edit
their
some of it
creator-
out.
Their creator having
Yeah.
ties to the
Not even
being, like,
that.
a Nazi sympathizer.
Ugh.
Well, that's one thing, but then there's like Dumbo, where for one,
yeah,
you
the
don't
crows.
ever address the fact that the crows are in it, and then in the remake, you take the crows out of the movie completely, and you like kind of lightly reference one of their songs at one point, and how it's just like, how can we make up for all of this? Well, guess what? Every female character now, she's a girl boss. And she's a badass business lady who gets shit done. Whoa,
I agree
feminism.
with you,
Hashtag.
again, like with
And
my
I feel like
background-
it's the same thing.
Yeah, with my background and like
It's-
trying to become an educator, like part of the thing that like I don't like is the whitewashing of history, and that's what that is. It's like you can't make it go away and act like it never happened.
Right.
The best thing to do is to address it and be honest about it, and that's the
Well,
only way things get better.
Did the live action Lady and the Tramp include the Siamese cats, or did they?
I don't
cut
think
that
not
out
the-
completely?
No, there's no Siamese cats to be seen.
No,
Huh.
they were. No, I think the
But-
signs were in there. You just didn't hear the voices as racist.
Okay.
Oh, so they don't do that
Okay.
song? They cut that song out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't
Right.
seen the movie
But
yet,
guess
my
what?
understanding,
Lady-
yes.
lady, she's a boss, guys. She's a total boss.
The Song of the South thing is boggling to me because one of their, I'm not going to say most popular rides, but consistently popular rides at Disney World is Splash Mountain. And Splash Mountain is themed around Song of the South.
Yeah,
like
it's a reference to a
100%.
thing that nobody's ever nobody that's writing it has seen, except for maybe they're like.
How have they not changed that one? Like, how did they change the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror into Guardians? But
I'm pretty sure
Song of the
removed all
South
the
remains
animals.
untouched.
That's gotta stay the same.
It's,
I don't know.
and
What's
it's a
weird is
small
like,
world.
and I had that movie growing up.
Yeah,
And I watched
I
it
saw
all
it
the
a
time.
few times when I was a kid.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
had the VHS, like zippity doo dah, zippity yay. Like I remember that. And I was like, oh, I never realized how bad it was until I was an adult and heard about it. I
yeah,
was like, oh, I didn't get that.
yeah. Well, I can't remember if it was you, Lou, if it was someone else in the chat, or possibly even pre-show banter one time, talking about how like if Disney really wanted to show that they were trying to make amends for this shit, they would release Song of the South on Disney Plus and put like a, hey, when this was created, racial norms were very different.
No, they've done that with like Dumbo. With Dumbo, they kept the crows in, and they've had like a little thing on the warning on the front of it, be like this.
Yeah, I
was
think we were talking about it in the
Really?
chat. They should do that with Song of the South. They should do that with Fantasia and put the original cut on there with the goofy little like
I forget what the word
minstrel
is.
character they have
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah,
Right.
No, they've done it with
Yeah.
Dumbo and a couple of others where they've just been like,
Well,
this depicts outdated racial stereotypes.
And it's a better way to go.
huh.
well, with Song of the South, you might need to like stop the movie occasionally and have commentators like explain what's going on. Be like, this is why this is wrong. here's
even
all
know.
the things that are.
Who would you have do that? Like I was thinking, oh, you could have.
I would
like,
have professors.
Yeah,
I would have
Or
like.
get
I would
Ben
have
Mankiewicz,
like
he's doing
academics.
stuff. Ben Mankiewicz,
Well,
he's
there's
doing
a.
stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, this kind of can segue into one of mine. But there's a documentary on Shudder called Horror Noir, and
oh yeah,
a lot of the commentators on that are black college professors who are experts in media studies. If you got one of them to watch Song of the South and like occasionally cut in and be like, yeah, this is what's wrong here. This is the exact reason that this is
so
a
do it
problem.
like, what is that movie about economics that came out?
Oh,
The Big Short.
The Big
yes.
The
Short.
Big Short. Do it like the Big Short.
yep.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
like a pop-up video thing. Like, Just occasionally they're on the side, just
I would
like
actually
pointing out
love a
what's
pop-up
going
video
on.
that's like, let's highlight all the racist things in the scene.
Oh God. Oh God. That movie, it would just
This created the magical black man caricature.
Oh,
It still persists to this day. You can see it in these other Disney movies.
So
Yeah, Legend of Bagger Vance.
Oh my god, that's the one I think about all the time whenever it's brought up because it's so literal.
Yeah, it is.
Because I think that term is like, and I can say this because I'm not white. It's the magical Negro, I believe, is the correct like terminology for it.
Yeah, I believe it is.
And it's so prevalent in so many movies. I'll try to think of one. I'm sitting here that's like super modern. I don't know.
I know there was something that came out recently that I'd said something to my wife about. She's like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, this," and she's like, "Oh no." Not that she's like, "I love that movie." It was more just like she hadn't really thought about that fact before. Yeah.
So it's funny we are talking about this Disney Plus stuff and everything, because as much as problems I have with it and all the stuff we're talking about, it's also one of my things, though, because I am kind of thankful for this thing existing, because it's nice to kind of come home, and this is what I get to come home to.
Oh, yes. One of the best, like, services ever made. And it's been 2 weeks, and they already made improvements, like, twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they already put they immediately put the continue watching feature when people have been asking for it. They made improvements as people have brought it up constantly.
Yeah.
The birth of content that's on here, while yes, some of it is like edited out or it's like not on. For some things of it, it still has a bevy of content here that's more than worth watching.
Didn't they already say that they're going to fix The Simpsons, like to do that thing soon, like by February?
By next year, by next year.
Yeah, that's crazy that they addressed fan complaints that quickly about it. Like
not many companies do that.
And
when you own a 40 or 30% market share of all entertainment, I guess you should listen to the people that are paying your bills. So,
also,
right?
Because who cares? You own 30 to 40% of the market.
True. Good point. You know, it could go either way.
Sure.
Well, this is Disney best foot forward Disney right now. Give it a couple of years, and they're just like, eat of our scraps, scum.
Yes. We will delete all of your gifts. I mean, here's the thing, John. that would be okay. That would be fine. Yeah.
And if they want to envelop the Universal theme,
they should buy Six Flags. Man, that.
Just
buy what? Did you say Six Flags, like the theme park?
Yes.
Doesn't Warner Brothers have a thing with them?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, but they somehow muscles out the majority and gets another theme park in their mix.
Well, the not to go too far off topic of John's thing, but that was the now ex-head of Warner Brothers was the guy who was in charge of Six Flags and the amusement park division. Yeah.
He was the one that we have the whole like DCEU stuff to thank for, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, he's the same guy who was dating the woman who may or may not be responsible for Hellboy 2019.
Sweet Christ.
Did we talk about that on here? Did we talk about the woman who?
Yeah,
who may have.
Was it in the last episode though?
Yeah.
Maybe
remember that's in the last episode or not.
I don't know.
It might be.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
look that story up.
Yeah, John, with Disney Plus, like I have to 100% agree with you, just because my wife isn't normally one to really watch a whole lot of things unless it's she and I watching, because she's just like, whatever, just turn it off. I'm not going to watch anything on my own. Like when we were recording the comic show last week on Sunday. Well, this week technically, but whatever, semantics. When I came back downstairs to just tell her, hey, we're done. What's up? And she's like, oh yeah, I watched this, and then I watched Monsters Inc., and then I watched this, which I'm just like, that's kind of shocking to me because she's normally not one to just put something on. But
my wife was excited the first day she got up. I was making breakfast. I turned around the corner and she was watching. And she's like, "This is amazing!" And like the 4K remastered one they threw up there.
Like everyone I've heard that has talked to about getting the service has literally told me like, this is the best thing ever, or my kids think this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, well, kids, it's like, it has...
I gave my girlfriend the
everything.
account information, and she's just been like, I've been watching a lot of Lizzie McGuire before work.
Yeah, that's what my wife has been watching. It does not hold up, but I still want to watch it.
I've never seen it, so I'm going to find out eventually. I have a bunch of other things to get through first.
Yeah, I watched like an episode with her. I was like, oh, this is bad. This is bad television. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been watching
that
Rebel,
is-
which is a
I'm
good
very
show.
happy.
Watching what?
Star Wars Rebels.
Rebels.
I'm
Star
going to
Wars
get those
Rebels,
shows
which
eventually.
is
Same. I want to
Yeah.
get to them, but my wife and I started watching Gravity Falls, and
Is that any good too? Because I also
Oh,
want to-
Yes, Gravity Falls is so good. It's so great. It's got Kristen Schaal as the voice of one of the characters.
I just know the future is in the past. Onwards, Aoshima.
What now?
You'll find out.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's this one very weird clip from the show that I know that kind of became a small little joke on the internet, but
Can I just to go back,
Mm.
Arlen? You're like more than halfway through the final season, though, right?
I believe so. Last episode I watched, some crazy shit happened. Just some.
Is it the well?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty far off. Like, have you gotten to like the demise of an integral character yet?
Yes, and
Okay.
yeah.
Because that's when like
And
people are
that
like, "Oh,
was-
it's a kid show." I'm
that
like,
was-
the last season is not a kid show.
I'll
The
say
season gets like real dark.
That might be the problem, though. Is the entire show wasn't like that. I almost wish it was season 4 level stakes for the entire time.
And I think that's a
'cause
thing
season
which
4
shows where like they grow with
Yeah.
the audience. So like it starts very young,
Yeah.
and then by the time you get to the 4th season, it's like, oh, the 12-year-olds that
Mm.
were watching it are now 16, or like
Yeah, but
10
it wasn't very gradual, which is the problem. I think it's not a gradual change. It's like it is very sudden. Like each season is a big shift. Like it's, I would
it
say,
gets
it's-
darker and darker every season. When
Well,
the final
but-
season gets like real dark.
In the defense of what
Yeah.
Lou's saying, though, Harlan, you've got to remember the schedule for stuff to come out on TV. Like, there's going to be
Sure.
what time period between each episodes, because I'm sure there were times they showed repeats without showing new
I'm
ones
trying
right
to think.
away.
The 4th season had like a really
Mhm.
weird schedule because I think they dropped like the first 2 episodes on one night and then the 3rd and 4th in the next. Like that, the 4th season was like in a month. They were just like, here's all the episodes, like on Disney VX.
Interesting.
There was like something
I can see
crazy
that,
like
'cause
that.
When you get into season 3 and 4, it's not even like individual episodes. It is like a long form.
Yeah, it's
story
there's
that's
like
cut
they're like chunk arcs in the season.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not as thing of the week, adventure of the week as the earlier seasons are.
No, yeah, 'cause season
Um,
4 is like the first half is like all about Mandalore, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Or I think, yeah. Like the first few episodes are very Mandalore heavy. A lot of season 3 is very Mandalore heavy, which was nice because the Mandalorian is
Mandalorian.
happening, and then I'm getting all this other lore.
Yeah. Plus, with the
sort of
game that
dumped on
came out,
me.
which I'm in the early of, it's like the game ties into some of those characters you see in season 2,
Hmm.
which is
Oh,
just,
Fallen
like,
Order.
Now I want to
Yeah,
play
Fallen
it more.
Order. Yeah,
Okay.
and plus, like the
I
characters.
did not know that.
Yeah, those two Sith people are in the season 2
Huh.
that are on the
Alright.
cover.
Okay.
The Seventh Sister and what's the other two? I don't remember the other two.
Second sister.
Oh,
and-
oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Those are
Alright,
like
that's
the people
interesting.
on the cover. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I
All
knew
right.
that there were what are they called?
The,
I can't remember what they're called, imperators or whatever. But I didn't realize it was the same ones.
Yeah, it's the same ones. It's
That's-
those characters. It's the same designs. I think it's the same voice actors.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Inquisitors. That's what they are.
Inquisitors, that's right.
Because
Yeah.
if you watch
The Inquisitors are
because if you watch it, it's Rebels is almost a direct sequel to Clone Wars in many ways. Because the first
is,
Inquisitor is a character you see sort of in the last season of Clone Wars.
okay.
Because I think they bring it up in Rebels, but he is one of the like guards. You don't see his face, when they are arresting Ashoka in Clone Wars. And her trial is what leads to his fall. Because her trial is like where like Anakin and a whole bunch of characters are like, oh wow, the Jedi Council is like up their own ass and stupid.
I could have told you that.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
I think it's your
go ahead. Yeah, it is. I was going to say I'm going to borrow a little bit from Disney Plus and then also take a little bit from HBO, but things that are keeping me going are just two shows that had no reason to be as good as they are, and I have to admit, I had no reason to expect either of them to be as good as they are. But holy God, The Mandalorian and Watchmen keep me coming back every week. I cannot.
I had faith in Mandalorian. I had no, and I stand corrected. Like I am very corrected. And I'll just say to add into yours, like my thing was going to be like TV shows at the end of 2019.
Yes,
just in general.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of like regular TV shows because I just use streaming services at this point. But like Mandalorian. All right, we all knew Disney was going to throw a lot of money into it just because they were advertising this heavily for Disney Plus, being like first big show you're going to be able to see on here, unless you want to watch Noelle. I don't know why you'd want to watch Noelle, but
like, can I just say time out? My wife watches General Hospital, and they did a whole segment with the teenagers. Her mom has been watching it since college, and they had like the teenagers. The girl was wearing a Disney Plus hat, and they were talking about wanting to go watch Noelle, even though they heard it wasn't good. in like a breakfast club kind of thing, and they're like just talking about how all pluses. I was like, this is hilariously such a like not even trying to be subtle like commercial. I can appreciate it.
That's great. But yeah, Mandalorian, like, and then finding out what is the rumored budget for it. It's like, all right, the only way this is going to fail is if it's written poorly. And Jon Favreau wrote it. Never mind.
Or
all right.
Or if it's acted poorly. Oh wait.
And then you look at the list of directors. You have Dave Filoni.
Exactly.
You have Rick Famuyiwa. I'm saying that wrong. Bryce Dallas Howard, Takia Waititi.
I can't wait for her episode.
Yeah,
is that next episode coming up?
I think it's this Friday.
Awesome. Yeah, it's every little thing that they could get right. They have so far.
Well, I think it ties to Jon Favreau, and he did what a lot of smart people have said for decades: go back, not to what Lucas did, but what Lucas stole from.
Yep.
Lucas stole from Westerns and Akira Kurosawa, and that is what Favreau did, and that is why this is goddamn working, because it's a fucking Western.
Also, I will say, and we were talking about this. I'm sorry. Do you mind if I just...
No, go ahead. No, go.
The woman who directed episode 3 is directing the Obi-Wan show.
Yes.
Episode 3 is the best episode we've had so far. So she's doing episode... She's doing episode 7, which makes me very excited.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that was the thing with episode 3 that like my one friend and I were talking was like it was pretty great that the end of that episode before we had the surprise visit. Whatever. If you haven't watched the show yet, I'm gonna spoil something for you. But
yeah.
What? Go ahead. What are you gonna say, Arlen? Like,
no, I was just gonna say, yeah.
Just when all the Mandalorians pop in, like, but before that, it's basically a railroad shootout. Like the Mandalorian is. Go ahead, Luke.
I was gonna say, to me, it's very much like the shit. I just lost the name. They remade it recently.
310 to Yuma.
No, the other one. The remake was bad with Denzel.
Oh, Magnificent Seven.
Oh, what? How dare you? That movie's amazing.
I know. Actually, I am thinking of the wrong. I have to Google which Western I'm thinking of because that's not the name. That's
okay.
I'm thinking of. Sorry,
because that Magnificent Seven movie it's
actually pretty good.
It's fantastic. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It's really well made.
But yeah, it's like you're saying, Lou. Like you can see all of the Western elements, but they have enough of a slathering of Star Wars style paint on them that you forget that fact. You're just like, oh yeah, this is Star Wars. This is great. And getting to see a Mandalorian flying and using a what would be not a rail gun, but a minigun is the most amazing thing on earth. It made me so happy. Mm-hmm. But then with Watchmen, which against Well, that's unfair because Damon Lindelof proved with The Leftovers that he can do a TV show that has a beginning, middle, and end and is done well and gets great performances out of people. Like, I'm not going to include Lost because I didn't watch all of that, so I can't say for sure.
I'm gonna include Lost because I thought everyone on that show crushed it, and I thought I'm on the side that show ended as perfect as it could have.
Okay. But Watchmen is something that there's no reason it should be as good as it is. It doesn't make sense that it's as good as it is, but I'm not going to complain because it keeps me coming back every Monday because I watch it Sunday night, every Monday night to watch it, and I am completely blown away. Every episode gets better. Like, I don't know how they're doing this magic trick, but every episode has been better than the last. And if it continues this way, it's going to go down as one of the best shows I've seen.
Oh, I remember now. I was thinking of the Wild Bunch.
Wait, they redid the Wild Bunch?
I don't think
there's no way they redid the Wild Bunch.
I think there was that talk of it, and they never did it. But like, that's what the ending fight reminded me.
Okay.
I was gonna say, like, if you're gonna redo the Wild Bunch and your name isn't like, I don't know, Nicholas Winding Refn, and even then I wouldn't be into it. But like,
I mean,
who's gonna remake the Wild Bunch?
Oh no!
No,
I feel like that's why I think I mixed it up. I thought I heard that they were attempting, and I guess they never did. But yeah, like that's where that fell. Like, oh, no one's making it out. Like he's not making out of this alive, but he's just going for it.
Mel Gibson will just make it racist. He's not even gonna make it good. He's just gonna make it extremely
anti-Semitic.
As anti-Semitic as he is, he can shoot a movie.
He can.
Sure. But
Apocalypto was a beautiful film.
Apocalypto is such a good film.
It is.
And I would say, did he do The Patriot too? Like, or did he just star in it?
No, he didn't direct it. That was Emmerich.
Did he direct?
Yes,
he directed Braveheart too. So like,
which is not.
He's a good director.
That's not a glowing.
He's a bad person, but a good director.
He is.
He is a very bad person. This is true. Anyways, Dad
is a Holocaust.
What was I about to say?
So
Watchmen. Watchmen's fantastic.
Watchmen is the best thing that's been done with Watchmen since Watchmen, the comic.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would put it above the movie, and I like the movie.
I think the movie's great, but I honestly think it gets the feel of the Watchmen comic much better.
It gets the tone and the point better.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, there's this. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No. I didn't really have anything to say.
There's a novelistic quality to the original Watchmen book. The sort of I call them epistolary, those little sections that are just pure text, and they're always giving you like just these major details and hints about what is going to happen. And I don't know if I can pinpoint where this happens in the show, but there are these moments that remind me of reading those epistolary notes and those little things. It's like a CIA document about John.
Or like just like little weird conversations, like throwaway lines that are like work so well. Like I think like it's weird, like kind of in that first episode when he's like, "Do you think I could lift 200 pounds?" It's like, I know that's a thing that's coming. Like there's like a lot of little throwaway things that come back, which we have started to see and start to tie things up, which is working so goddamn well.
Well, yeah, they've got 2 episodes left, correct? So they've kind of got or is it 3? 3.
There are all these, there are these moments that just bring it all to life, and then I think this is why Damon was actually the perfect person to do this, because like the episode about Looking Glass is very similar to an episode of The Leftovers about the I can't remember his name. I just call him the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. And it's all about his character going to a casino and like losing a bunch of money. And just like the tragedy of that. And it's very similar to the Looking Glass episode. And they play very much in the same way, and they do a lot of the same things. And it's just it's very effective in both cases. The dramatic
Again, it's
stakes
like-
for these characters, it's so well explained and well laid out.
I think that goes for like both
in
shows.
interesting ways.
Couldn't it be with better people creators? Couldn't it be better directed?
Mhm.
Couldn't it be better acted? Like everything is like
Yes.
perfect so far. Like it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
match made in heaven.
And the reason why it's a good match is they are both shows about people reacting to scenarios or situations that are just
Out of
crazy.
their control.
just bonkers, out of their control, things that happened that they can't possibly undo or really confront, but they affect their lives regardless.
And they're mostly, for the most part, they're just people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, there's not much
They're
super
just
special about them.
No,
Mhm. Yeah.
no, they're
And
just
just examining their lives.
I mean, I guess the Mandalorian, he's a Mandalorian, so he's going to be obviously more skilled in a lot of ways than most normal people. And I guess you could say the same about any of the superheroes that are cops. But I feel like,
because I
yeah.
think we're going to learn more about his background at some point. Because to go in, like Mandalorian's culture is like very much like the Khans, like the
Mhm.
Mongols.
Mhm.
So I don't know if he grew up as a kid, like when we see the flashbacks, as a Mandalorian.
I don't think he did because
I
you
think
don't
he's
see
an
his parents
adopted
wearing any armor.
Mandalorian.
Yeah,
I think,
Yeah.
yeah. Which is
that's the
interesting.
thing that struck
Well,
me is what's that?
Yeah. I was going to say, what's interesting, and Lou, you can sort of confirm this, they've changed a lot about the Mandalorian. It's sort of been set up that the culture has evolved a lot in a very short amount of time.
Yes.
The no helmets thing.
Yeah, so from the comic or from the shows, like because from what's canon, from Clone Wars to Rebels to the Mandalorian, the numbers of people have dropped off like insanely. Like it's basically was a genocide.
Yes.
And so what we see in
Right.
Mandalorian is almost all what is left. So they are more of a culture than a species, which is kind of
Mhm.
always what they have always been. But yeah, this thing with the helmet
Right.
is something like never removing it is a very interesting thing that I like. And it's kind of
Mhm.
like that they are, I'm trying to find the right word here. They're like almost they're like the crazy end of the spectrum of it, like almost religious with it.
Yeah.
I can't think of.
I would compare it to, and this might not be the best example, but I would maybe consider it to Israel, kind of.
Yes, I was thinking that when I said like it's more of a culture than a people, but they're almost like religious zealots when it comes to the helmet, and I kind of like that idea.
Yes,
especially because it seems like only a couple of them are real quote unquote Mandalorians.
Yeah,
and his reaction
yes.
to like the foundlings, like I like that idea. Like it's just there's so many good ideas that they're just like sprinkling in. I'm like, fucking Favreau's a goddamn genius. Guy started the MCU and he's doing the best Star Wars thing since episode 1, maybe.
Wow.
Not episode 1. I
You're
mean
really
the original, like the original Star Wars, like New Hope. Like,
okay, yeah, sure, maybe.
Raising an eyebrow, but
yeah.
I also know you're not as big a fan of the stuff post-return as anybody else. So,
I don't like I'm not a big fan of the prequels, but like I like the animated stuff. I like the comics. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of the prequels, and I like the newer movies. I love Rogue One, but I like this better than Rogue One. I like it better than the prequels. I like it better so far than the sequels.
Most people like
as a Star Wars thing. I like the most.
Yes,
as a movie, removing the branding of Star Wars from it, Rogue One is the best as far as I know. If it was an hour longer, it would be a perfect movie because what that movie needs is character development, and like.
What's funny is I think that they're very similar. I think Rogue One is almost a Western because it is, as weird as it is, it's kind of the Wild Bunch.
I think it's the one that puts it more in actual Star Wars.
Yeah.
Controversial opinion here. I'm not a huge fan of Rogue I haven't revisited it, but there's nothing at stake for me when you're watching it. Like, none of these people are going to make it out alive. And
I think that's like your like.
I mean,
I think that's you
Yeah,
being like.
But that's all right. That's the difference between like that and like, let's say, the Wild Bunch. Like the Wild Bunch going into that, like I didn't know anything about it, and the ending of it makes sense. But that's also because you don't know anything about what's going to go on in their world post the movie.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, we know that they tried to do it the other way, and people were like, "No, that's dumb." Like, their test audience people.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's really the best example. Like, for me, that's like saying, I know that the people in Valkyrie failed, so I don't think I should see Valkyrie again.
No, that's a false.
To me, that's pretty close.
That's a false equivalency because Valkyrie is also based on historical fucking facts. So it just
within the universe, we know it's a historic fact that that these people would have showed up somewhere.
I don't know. Yeah. Going into it, I wasn't into it that much just because I was like, all right, I know they're gonna get these plans, but I also know they're dead. Like, so
but I would say, like, you're in the minority of thinking that they would all die when it came out. And
really?
A lot of people did not.
Yeah, I think it was a will they, won't they thing of how many of them they died.
I think it was a lot of people saying they should, but do they have the balls to do it? Especially when it was Disney, and it was the second Disney film in Star Wars universe.
Yeah, so. that's
also. I thought that those characters had complete arcs, which was the more important thing to me. That these characters had meaning.
They were compelling characters. They were the good actors, and they were all interesting.
Yeah,
it's like I said, I need to revisit it, and I don't have any issues with the actors or the storyline or anything along those lines. It's just, as a whole, it didn't do anything for me because I knew going in that these people weren't going to make it out. That was my big thing.
I think you should watch it again. Give it another try.
I know, but I don't think my opinion is going to change that much. Oh, I know. I know. Well, it's technically in that because it's never really truly HDR or 4K when you're streaming and blah, 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 blah. But
okay, calm down.
I won't go into that.
Old man yells at cloud.
Okay.
So, for my thankful thing to that with the TV stuff, I am very happy with this final season of Arrow.
Yes.
I love what they're doing. I love how we're revisiting every season. We're getting to meet old friends in real ways. I still have misgivings about Mia and what that show's going to be, but little by little, I'm feeling better about it. But I like this.
Yeah.
I'm liking Mia's stuff more than I'm liking William's stuff.
Oh, I disagree. Which is interesting, but like, I like this send off for Oliver. It's like very much like world tour, give handshakes to everybody and high fives. And
I haven't seen this week's yet.
I just can't wait for I'm so hyped for the Crisis, and I just want to see what they do.
Like I'm like literally.
I'm very.
Go ahead, Armin.
No, I was just gonna say I'm very satisfied with what they're doing. They're not going above and beyond or doing anything crazy because I think that practically they can't go too crazy in individual episodes, but they're just doing what they've been doing.
Yeah, it serves the show better.
They could.
The worst season is when they went crazy, and that's the one season we're not revisiting, which seems to be because that's the only season we haven't gone back to.
Which,
they haven't. That's the thing. They're not even sticking.
They're jumping around the timeline.
They're not really.
No, the Russian one was very much a reason to the Dragon one.
Yeah,
Dragon season.
It's very that one's very season 5. That one's very much the Bratva flashback stuff. But even then, they're not really, and I said this when we were doing a review of it, that they were going to do season by season, but they're not really doing that. They're doing characters by characters, and they're picking settings that they maybe want to return to because they're interesting settings. But last week's episode was about saying goodbye to Anatoly, and this week's episode was about saying goodbye to another character.
It's like saying goodbye to Anatoly, bringing Roy back, and then kind of doing a full circle with Earth 2 Laurel in many ways.
Yes. Yeah. All of these.
Don't say anything. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen this
giving the honorable man his final time in the sun. Yeah, it was a fun time. It's been fun this whole Arrow season so far. It's just been really interesting. And I'm curious to see.
Reminds me of like a professional athlete going to like stadiums and then Mariano Rivera, like, oh, he goes here. It's like 800 times. Here's a T-shirt. Like, I was like, oh, this is kind of what I want. It's still serious, and addressing stuff, but we're kind of just like having fun with stuff. Like, I like the episode that had his sister and Nissa. The first episode of the season.
That was a big mashup. Like, there were so many different things in that one episode. And even them going back to that mountain was great. Just like acknowledging all the crazy things that have happened in that show. It's just been very, very satisfying overall. And like, I won't say what it was, but this last episode ended in a certain way, and I was like, I know where you are. I know what's going on. I know what the reveal here is going to be in a second, and I am pumped. So yeah, like, it was just, it's that kind of season where the reveals are very telegraphed and like you can put everything together, but you still kind of get very excited when the reveal happens.
And I would say most of, like, was it 4 or 5 shows are on right now? Because it's Arrow, Batgirl, Flash, Black Lightning, and Supergirl. They have all been good. I would still say, for me, Flash has been the bottom. I love this season of Black Lightning. Like, this season of Black Lightning has been amazing to me.
I am nowhere near caught up yet, and I won't be. Yeah,
it is so poignant, and I like what they do, like what they're doing with the character, because it's literally like they have Freeland is, what do you call it? Under martial law and completely like contained, and they are putting teenagers who they think have the metagene into a holding camp in cages, kind of. Kind of like stuff we're seeing in like those border patrol like ice camps. And it is being done very good about like how the government and stuff like that. I like what they're doing there. Supergirl has had hit or miss stuff. Batwoman, I think, has been in point. We talked about like stuff kind of earlier off and on. Like Flash, I'm more like, I wanted to get to where it needs to go faster.
Yeah, the problem is blood work is very clearly there as like as a time suck, just to like fill in.
He's kind. It's just like we can't go to Crisis immediately. So here's this guy.
And they killed off a character that was like sort of big off camera, sort of.
Yeah.
So I was like,
yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of spinning their wheels with that show, and I don't know if they're just waiting for Crisis.
I think they're.
Yeah, they are. I think that they could have not done any episodes.
Yeah, they should have done what Legends is doing.
Well, no, they could have come back this week and been fine. They could have had like 2 episode lead up and then Crisis and been totally fine. And nobody would have noticed. But they're still stuck in this whole, we have to do 22 episodes in a season. And I really hope that Arrow and Legends sort of shakes them of that, because they're kind of doing what I've been saying for a long time,
Arrow
which is
Legends of Black
overlapping
Lightning
13 episodes.
I think Legends of Black Lightning do 13. Arrow's doing 8, but then they just renewed Batwoman to make it 22.
Arrow's doing 10, actually.
Arrow's doing 10, and it's overlapping with Legends. So
yeah, but two of those, two or three of those are Crisis, so they don't really count.
Right, but still, it's the same idea, basically, of your shows overlap, but they're their own things and they're shorter seasons, which means more manageable storytelling. Which I think has been a problem in the past with all these CW shows. Let's go away from CW because Erik is clearly like spinning around.
Wait, what? I'm sorry.
Like...
I'm sorry, I browned out for a minute there. Have you guys been talking?
Are you stuck in the Speed Force or are you stuck in the Force?
Oh, God, it's happening again.
What do they call it?
No,
hey, the Speed Force is a DC Comics thing, Eric.
Arlen,
that
what
doesn't,
is the thing
mean,
in Rebels
that
called?
doesn't mean I've read much of the Flash recently.
Is it Force Time Space?
Force Space. That's what I'm calling it. Yeah.
It's awesome, Erik.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying CW stuff. That's great. I'm glad it's improved in quality. That last season fucking wrecked me, and I couldn't deal with it. Actually, it wasn't even last season. It was the season before that.
Lewis saying that's his pick.
I know, but I'm just saying.
My pick was Arrow, and we spun off. So,
but you guys obviously seem to be enjoying it, and that's cool. Good for you guys. I'm glad you like
it.
I don't.
Erik, I understand. I just want you to. I want you to know. I get it. I understand. But like CW's in my DNA at this point, so it's like, whatever.
I got out before it could splice itself in. So,
right, yeah. It got to me when I was like 10. I was like being infected by.
I'm so old.
By it. Yeah. Let's see. Did I do a pick? No, I didn't. Because a lot of yours were things I would have picked.
Yes, we're on our second pick, so this is your second pick.
I didn't. Well, what was first pick? I think I said something, but I didn't actually go into it.
Okay.
So I'll go back to my first one. Shudder. Shudder is one of the things that keeps me happy because even if I'm not constantly watching horror movies, knowing that I can like turn it on and find one that I've never seen before, like that's something that genuinely brings me a lot of joy. Because sometimes you want to watch something spooky. You want to watch some ghosts or some demons or some.
You want to get spooked?
Some crazy shit
for a streaming service. I feel like I would want one that's more, for me personally, like sci-fi based, and I would love it. But I get how probably couldn't do it because there's not enough content.
Shudder, if they had more money, they would do kind of what you're talking about. Because they show a desire to do that. I think that they're bound by the restrictions of being a horror streaming service. I think that if they had their way, they would expand into horror, weird B movies, weird old sci-fi movies, which is kind of what they are doing.
Yeah,
but I think that they feel restricted.
Like, there's movies that I'm like, oh, I remember watching this. Like, I can't remember like where. Like, oh, Walmart had this dollar bin thing, and my dad pulled out a Dennis Hopper movie about a serial killer. We're like, oh, it's $1. Let's check this out. I don't remember what it's called.
That sounds like a good time.
So good. It was so bad good. And I'm like, I have no idea where to find that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, the thing I'd like to add to what you're saying about Shudder is that it's also only like $6 a month. So there's really no reason to try it out for a month or two just to see. Like, I don't think I've watched anything on Shudder in probably about a month. Maybe that's incorrect. Maybe I've watched one or two things. But it's something that it's just like I still subscribe to it because I know I'll find some time that I'll go back and be like, oh, I need to check this out.
In October, I was going on it heavy because
it's
October, so why not? But that's where I watched Beelzebub, Beth, which was fucking amazing.
Yes, that movie was great.
Yeah, it's so good. I watched that movie Nectronic a few days ago, which is it's fucking insane. If you haven't seen that movie, watch that movie. It's so next level bonkers and Australian, and yeah, it's a good time.
Is the trailer true to the tone of the entire movie?
It's a little bit less. The movie is like constantly vacillating between Ghostbusters and Evil Dead in tone.
Okay.
And it's just, it's so off the wall. And I can't remember the name of the actress who plays sort of the villain, but she's in like Matrix Reloaded and a bunch of other stuff. But she is chewing the scenery aggressively throughout the movie. And other actors get possessed by her, and and then they chew the scenery as her, and it's fantastic.
She looked familiar. Is she the one who was the what's his name? The fancy guy. The shit.
Yes, the Merovingian. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, she was also in the movie Irredeemable, and not Irredeemable. No, is it Irredeemable?
Oh,
the one that's I forget the name of the director.
Undoable, Unreversible, Irreversible.
Irreversible. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and she was also in Brothers Grimm.
Wait,
the Terry Gilliam film.
Yes,
the Terry Gilliam one.
Is that the Matt Damon one?
Yes, Matt Damon and shit. Heath Ledger.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I found the movie that we found at Walmart. It is called The Spreading Ground. It was made in 2000. When 5 bodies turn up in the waters of Berman City, its illusion of safety is shattered, and Mayor Hackett, Mayor is his name, Mayer, will stop at nothing to see peace returned. And it's Dennis Hopper, and people have never heard.
Yeah, what?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
It sounds terrible.
It was, but it was so
yeah,
good.
it does. But yeah, my pick was Shudder. So go check out Shudder if you're not subscribed.
Yeah.
And I think you can get it like pretty cheap if you get like this AMC pack thing where you can get like Sundance Online, AMC Plus, and one of their other services that they own. That's the other thing. Like a lot of AMC stuff ends up on there because it's the same parent company, which is why you really want to appeal to AMC's better nature if you want to get movies on there. That's why I think that MST3K could have a future there if they get the AMC owners to get on board. So
God, I hope so.
Well,
that makes sense.
I would
AMC's owners would have to be convinced it would be a cost-effective thing because apparently that's
right.
what they care about.
Well, didn't they have Comic Book Men on for like 8 seasons?
Yeah, but I'm sure that was cheap
to
produce.
Yeah.
Oh, it was definitely cheap as hell to produce.
Yeah, but that's the thing I'm talking about is with Mad Men, and it was also the end of Breaking Bad that like Matthew Weiner and Vince Gilligan both like wanted to go elsewhere with their series because AMC was being so cheap.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Amazon or one of the other streaming services that wasn't like or try to think, not YouTube, maybe somebody else would throw them money because they have such a good cult following.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We'll see. What
I would
happens.
rather YouTube than Facebook. Facebook, I don't like. I feel like I get told, "Oh, there's like Facebook stuff." I'm like, I forget that that's a thing.
I don't want it to be Facebook. They'll somehow make it part of their face recognition algorithm, using our laughs while we're watching bad movies to track us or something. It'll somehow all play in.
It's only available on Kindle.
Oh God!
Exactly.
Oh, John, did you want to?
I'll go with my number 2. My number 2 is because you had 2 TV shows. I'm not going to do TV shows here, but there are 2 games I am currently playing that have just kept me coming back every day and they're so much fun that I'm enjoying the living crap out of myself. They are Death Stranding and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Nice.
Two games I own that I haven't had enough time to play.
Oh, Jedi Fallen Order especially is so much better than I could have anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I know. EA made a good game.
EA made a
100%
very
agree,
good
John.
game.
Yeah. With Death Stranding, like, what is it that you're loving about it so much? I don't have a PS4. I'm just curious because I've definitely heard
me, what I'm liking about it is that the gameplay mechanic is a mechanic that I find like weirdly calming after a long day.
Okay.
That is actually, as strange as it is, to go back to my first thing, what that episode opens with is I can't remember her name, that she talks about how calming it is to do all the missions.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
It's oddly soothing to just walk.
Mm-hmm.
Not to do anything, to just walk around the environment and to go from point A to point B by just walking.
And you just deliver packages and stuff, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like, okay, this shouldn't be as entertaining as it is, but it is.
Well, I think that talks about like how if a game is made very well and everything, like the mechanics work perfect, it is enjoyable.
It's simple yet ambitious at the same time.
Yeah, it's just everything I've seen about the game is intriguing to me, but also I don't know if I'd really want to play it because at this point with Kojima stuff, like, I don't know if I have the patience.
Don't get me wrong. There are some stuff in here that is prime Kojima, and there's one visual gag in this entire game that made me actually laugh out loud in hysterics.
Was it when he peed on a mushroom and more mushrooms?
No, it was involved the bathroom, but not outside.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
All I'll say, if you guys ever get around to playing it, and you unlock the ability to use the bathroom in the private room, go number 2. You'll thank me later.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever play it, so you should tell us after this because
does it have anything to do with an ad that pops up when the door closes?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the best bit of narcissism I've ever seen in a game, and I actually laughed out loud while it happened. I'm like, someone actually got paid money to animate this into a game.
Yeah. I definitely know what you're talking about. Yeah, the idea of it seems really intriguing, but then hearing some reviews like Giant Bombcast, they're talking about it, and like reading some reviews, it sounds like it's very sterile in some ways because the only people you're running into are the ones that you're specifically going to drop packages off for, or the crazy guys that are trying to steal said packages.
I mean,
I feel
yes.
like it's almost less of a game and more of an art installation that you interact with.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, granted, eventually you'll just run into Kojima fanboy Jeff Kiley or Conan O'Brien.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I know about the Conan O'Brien one. You get a special hat. Yeah, you get the otter hat that lets you swim better. But yeah, the crazy thing was though I'd seen also that the horror manga guy did Gaio and Uzumaki. I can't remember his name.
Junji Ito?
Yes, that he's in the game.
Is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a
Del Toro in the movie. Not Benicio. Guillermo.
Guillermo's actually a main big part of the game.
Yeah, didn't they redub his voice though? They didn't have Guillermo's actual voice.
Same with Nicholas Winding Refn in it too.
Yeah,
his English is really not good though. I don't remember, or he's a very very thick accent.
Yeah, he has a thick accent. Like I know his English is actually quite good. It's just he just has a very thick accent.
I'm trying to remember from his Oscar speech, and I think
that Corey Barlog from God of War, the director of the new God of War, is
Balrog from Street Fighter.
No, Barlog, Corey Barlog. That's what I meant to say.
The Balrog, the ones the dwarves summoned. Yes, I was going to say the greedy dwarves unleashed him upon Death Stranding.
How has nobody made the switcheroo up from Balrog from Street Fighter But since Balrog from Street Fighter is based on Mike Tyson, just put Mike Tyson in there instead of the monster.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know why no one's
Hey,
done
Ryu, how you doing, man?
Don't touch my pigeons.
that.
Listen, I'm gonna solve some mysteries.
Yeah, well, John, you actually took my number 2 with Fallen Order, because it's just been a joy to play. Like, it's every time I come back to it, I'm like, oh, that's what I was doing wrong. Like, last time I played, I was just like, oh, I can actually deflect or counter these giant spider things, and I can kill them in one hit then. That makes my life much easier.
Oh yeah, it's very much a touch and go kind of. You have to figure out how to strategize your combat.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of like an aspect of those games, though? I feel like part of the playing them is the reward of figuring stuff out.
It's very Dark Souls in that sense.
Yeah, it
Which
is.
a genius way to do this.
It definitely is. I mean, it's not quite as. I mean, Connor would be our Dark Souls person if he was on, but the little bit I know from having played Dark Souls a bit in the past, like, is that it has that feeling in the combat and the fact that, like, the places that you can recharge your health and your robot stim packs, like, reset all the enemies, but it's not quite as Dark Souls as, like, people made it out to be initially, because Dark Souls is a very easy adjective to throw around about a game if it is actually challenging or has, like, combat that makes you think.
Yeah, I think it's just more like that combat style is like kind of what Dark Souls has taken over, that like countering and blocking and not just hack and slashing everything. Like a normal an action game like a God of War or Devil May Cry. It's like, oh, if it's like the hard way where you're not just tap 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 tap, it's Dark Souls.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. If it's a Star Wars game that's not like what was that one that had the guy who was the secret apprentice of, yes. Yeah. Like, it's the first time we've had a Star Wars game, I think, ever that isn't just like mindless action.
You're talking about the guy who was in Supergirl last season?
Oh wait, he was, oh my god, really? That was him?
That's who he was in. You're talking about Vader's apprentice guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Was it Citizen
Steel?
No, Citizen.
No.
Or not Citizen Steel, but yeah, I know who you're talking
Sam
about.
Witwer. Yeah, he's also
Sam
the
Witwer.
of Darth Maul.
Yes, and who was also Doomsday in Smallville.
Ben
Jesus.
Lockwood, Agent Liberty.
Yes, Agent Liberty. There we go.
That's it. Holy shit! I never even thought about that, but thinking about the way the guy looked, yeah, that makes sense.
He does like a ton of voice acting work. He's a good voice actor.
Huh. Hey, good for him, man.
I will do my final one. I know we're like going.
Yeah, I was gonna say let Arlen do his second if you want to get a final one.
All right, Arlen, do you want to do your second one?
Yeah, sure. My second one is one. It's one that always keeps me happy. It's sort of a go-to. But around this time of year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's sort
Pumpkin
of
spice lattes.
It sort of is a lifeline for me. No, I'm not going to go on my pumpkin spice rant. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But it is the James Bond film. They kind of keep me going around this time of year. The
good ones are so good. The bad ones are so bad.
The good one, yeah. But in the best way. It's so great.
I wish we could do, if I could ever suggest a movie, if we could do, I don't remember who is in it, but the Korea one that Pierce Brosnan did is the most insane, where literally whitewashing a character is the plot of the movie.
Die Another Day.
Is that
yes,
the Halle Berry
that
one?
movie. That's the Halle Berry one. That's the one where Halle Berry was supposed to have a spin-off.
Is that the one with that's the one with Madonna too, right? Isn't Madonna in that?
Yes. Madonna is in it as
a fencing teacher?
Fencing instructor. Yes. Who
So
taught James Bond how to fence at one point.
And Pierce Brosnan is 65 years old.
Right. It's so insane. And
again, the main story plot is that a Korean person gets plastic surgery to become white.
Well, that's the twist of the movie. Is that
it's like
the movie opens in North Korea. But it's like because you start in North Korea and you meet this character who's the son of this general, and then he gets blown up and you think he's dead. But in reality, he's been going to Cuba to have his genes spliced with the genes of white men, so that he looks like an Irish man by the end of the movie.
What?
So ridiculous. Like a literal plot. The big twist is that whitewashing. Like whitewash a character.
Yes. It's literally that he's being turned into a white man who can't sleep.
And diamonds
he
are
physically
used
can't sleep.
Diamonds are used for something, and then he has a power suit with a laser at the end.
I hate everything about this movie.
His sidekick is another Korean man who is also undergoing the surgery or the therapy. Yes, Die Another Day. But he has diamonds stuck in his face.
The look
why
is
not? Why not? Just sure.
My favorite part of that movie is the end when he meets his father touching his face, and they have a bust of what he originally looked like. And the dad's touching the bust in his face. It's the most ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. It's so insane.
If you ever do like bad Bond movies on Los Horror, I need to be on for that as a Korean person.
Oh God, we'll definitely have it on because
was the person just pissing on Ian Fleming's grave they wrote?
That's one of the things. Yes. Are they in control of all that stuff where they can pick who's directing and who's the Bond?
Well, so this is the weird thing. From Tomorrow Never Dies up until now, the same two writers have been working on every single James Bond movie. Since then, for the last 20 years.
Oh, and Tomorrow Never Dies is
24
so
years.
Too. That's the one with Terry Hatcher,
here's the thing. Tomorrow Never Dies is half of a good movie. And then there's the other half, and it's spread out throughout the movie, so you can't be like, well, stop watching at this point. There are parts of it that are just like utterly cringeworthy, and then there are other parts where I'm like, this is everything that I want out of a James Bond movie. And the same thing can be said for The World Is Not Enough. That movie has a lot of good stuff in it, and then it has
Denise Richards one.
Yeah, then it has Denise Richards as one of the worst Bond girls of all time. But then you have the other Bond girl in that movie who's, spoilers, she's a twist villain, and she's one of the best Bond villains of all time. I mean, she's basically Talia.
Has one of the best Bond movies, and then like probably several of the top 5 worst.
I would say he has 2 very middle of the road Bond movies, because there's a lot of people like to say like this Bond movie is the worst. Like the one that comes up a lot is Moonraker. Moonraker's straight up middle of the pack. It's like
is like one of the worst, and then
Die Another Day, A View to a Kill, Octopussy is fucking awful. Octopussy is one of the worst films I've ever seen. One with
Jimmy Dean with Roger Moore.
That's Diamonds Are Forever, and that movie's a hot mess.
That movie's
it's not.
Jimmy Dean of the sausage.
Yes, of the sausage. Yes.
At some point in my lifetime, I do need to revisit all the Bond movies and like go through because I haven't seen all of them.
It's worth it. It's worth it to watch them and to watch them in order. Because you get a real sense of they are. It's like watching movies from another universe, like movies made by aliens.
What's the one? That's the one with the Wing song, where it's Yaphet Kotto is the villain, and he gets blown up by a magic pill at the end.
Yes, well, no, he gets blown up by a shark dart. It causes you to giant, like, inflate. Yes. Yes, you inflate until you explode. It's so dumb.
And he was pissed. He was so mad.
Yeah, he did not like it. There's some bad stuff
There's
throughout the Bond
there's like
movies,
6
but they're
good Bond movies, then a ton of mediocre, and then like 5 that are horrendous
Sure.
and hilarious.
yeah,
What is Quantum
yeah,
of
that's
Solace
fair.
fall? Is that horrendous or mediocre?
No, Quantum of Solace is fine.
It's some good action sequences, but there's no story holding those action sequences together in a meaningful way.
And I like the Daniel
which is
Craig,
only
the Craig ones, but my favorite one, and I don't know where I land on this, but I really like Skyfall.
Skyfall's my favorite.
Skyfall's good.
Next to Goldfinger.
Casino's the best.
I like
Yes.
Javier Bardem so much, but Casino Royale is a better movie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can see to Casino Royale
Like-
being number 2 and this being number 3.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the Bond movies. They keep me sane. I'm just like I've had a rough day. I'm gonna watch Dr. No now because Sean Connery, his man muscles.
My favorite thing is that there's 2 Bond movies of the same movie because the rights were wonky, and one is Roger, one is Sean Connery.
Here's the thing, Lou.
Was it Thunderball?
That's a problem within the mainline movie. So if you watch You Only Live Twice, The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, what's the other one? I cannot think of right at this moment. Maybe A View to a Kill and The Living Daylights, I want to say. If you watch all of them back to back to back, you will find that they follow the exact same plot. And 3 of them were directed by the same man, Lewis Gilbert, who has the greatest British accent ever because he talks like a mouse. He's just like, I directed the Bond films, and it was a very fun time. He's got a delightful British novel thing, like a Dickens character going on. He's amazing. The Bond movies. Yeah, that would be my second pick, I guess. Do we want to go on to somebody else's?
I will just. I don't know if this will take it away because I will go. It has to do with the comic show, but I have been out of Marvel for so long, so I am thankful for House of X, Powers of X, and everything that has been given to us by Jonathan Hickman in the X-Men universe. It has relit my flames for loving those characters, and everything about it has been awesome. And the X-Men fuck, even their island fucks. It's hilarious and it's awesome. And if you don't like it, I hate you. Lose my number. Like, I don't know what it's so good. And it does so much to move all that stuff forward. And I don't get how people don't like it.
Because it's actually telling a coherent and interesting X-Men story, and it's not falling on a bunch of bullshit history to pull it through. Even it is, but I mean, I haven't read it. I just know from what I've read and from what I've heard. But Hickman is actually using the history of X-Men intelligently.
Well, he's doing what Morrison did with like his Batman run in many ways, but bringing it into like a new era of stuff in a very smart way, and doing what is the inevitable outcome for these characters that I guess people had never had the balls to do.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because that's what it feels like. It's very reminiscent of, to me, I can't remember what it was called at the time, but like what was going on with Spider-Man during Civil War when they were like, oh, we need to like move this character forward, and then they backpedaled so goddamn hard with Brand New Day.
They did the Brand New Day, and then and One More Day, and
all the stuff leading up to that were like, oh, like we're gonna get rid of Aunt May, and he's adult now, and they're like gonna get married, and he's doing all these things. It's like, all right, well, we're making this character like kind of move forward. They're doing that with the entire species of mutants, and it's working so well. And I have said many times through the comic show, like, oh, I've been waiting for something to bring me back to Marvel, and this was the thing, and it's brought me back, and I'm now buying more Marvel books than DC.
And they appreciate your donations.
Yes, they do. I bow to the mouse.
Yeah.
Bob Iger is somewhere counting your money. Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything I've heard about Hawks Fox and everything Hickman is doing going forward is amazing, and I'm super excited to check it out when it's all available in hardcover.
Yeah, I think he just wrote that's coming out in a week or two, like a giant-sized X-Men that's going to be all about Magneto, and I'm like,
nice,
give me, I want it.
Nice, yeah.
I'm gonna be very excited once it comes time for the trades of that to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, because I've definitely been on a not buying a whole lot of comics recently. And yeah, I'm excited for all this stuff to finally come out because I need to get it. I need to read it all. I need to have it all in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't really have a third thing, honestly. Like those couple things would have been keeping me going because basically it's just still running off the high of coming back from Disney World and now being on a 4-day weekend for Thanksgiving. So I'm a simple man, simple pleasures.
All right, I got a third thing. Oh, go ahead, Arlen, if you want to go.
I think we can kind of cap it at 2, honestly, unless we really want to.
Well, no, John has a third thing.
I have a third thing, and this is me about to get really sappy. My third thing is the show. No. It's the show.
I was waiting for to say.
Oh, well, I mean, here's
the thing. I had a bad experience last time I did a podcast, and so I was a little hesitant. I was very happy when it didn't go as well. We were trying to make it a bit more like bigger per se. We were trying to make it like there really wasn't a clear kind of vision. It only ended after a few. It was inconsistent, and so I was like, all right, Connor asked me to do this. I'm happy to do this. I'm thrilled. But at the same time, I'm like, I hope I don't sound as bad as I did last time. So then I started doing it. You guys have accepted me graciously. Because of you, the fire or the spark for me loving comics has been reignited full blown. Nice. So I'm very thankful for this show getting me back into comics and making me feel more confident in front of a mic again. So
yeah.
I would have to say the same. Like I was kind of floundering in comics and geekdom, and sometimes having somebody like a thing to give you homework is helpful to push you to watch stuff. Like even though I didn't do it, Arlen watching those like terrible horror movies was a fun time. Watching all 3 Ginger Saps movies, but but they were fun, and I am glad to be on the show, and I am always happy when we are doing it. And it actually, like, I guess we don't do it for a while.
Like I'll definitely be like, if I'll definitely want to podcast after a couple of times of not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens. I think that this show it's kind of an addiction. It's in a weird way. We do it for each other, I think, at this point, than for anybody else who might be listening. It's really sad for the people who are listening. They must feel real loved.
Excited to find out I did a podcast. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to listen to it." I'm like, "Okay, thank you." But
oh no, I have to find something appropriate and terrible to say.
If he's listening, hi.
Yeah. But yeah, like when we asked you to be on Supergirl. God damn it!
You son of a bitch.
When we asked you to be on Supergirl, that was like we should probably have somebody new. Because every time we're like, we're gonna get new people, like I don't know what happens, but it doesn't always. Sometimes they just disappear on us.
I stick around like a leech.
Hey, I was the same way. They were looking for people to do Jessica Jones, and I was like, I watched that show.
I feel like that was also the first thing. Is that what a hell of a way for me to come in is Supergirl the movie.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you got jumped in.
Yeah, really.
Literally, I think it's in my top 5 worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, that would have to be up there. That was.
Yeah.
Mostly because it was so boring.
Pretty much.
It wasn't even that it was boring. It's just,
Like,
ugh.
considering all the names that are involved with it, it's boring. Peter
It's
O'Toole is a
He's only in it for like 5
that
minutes.
film. Yes, but like you would imagine that those 5 minutes would be interesting.
They
They're not.
are-ish. They're the most interesting parts of the movie. But
For the
much.
wrong reasons. For all the wrong reasons.
Right.
He's drinking.
It's
goop.
interesting because he's clearly drunk.
Yes,
He's
he's
clearly
very drunk.
Yes.
hammered.
Yes.
And
So
then
with
have
a
a
capital H.
Here,
The
have
movie-
another one.
2 hours and 8 minutes or something like that.
It was 2 hours and 8
Mhm.
minutes, and it was mainly Peter O'Toole drunk off his ass. I'm pretty sure in a swirling cloud of just alcohol.
No, it was mainly what's her name, like sitting on a throne with her friend, bitching about like life in their
Boys.
weird amusement.
Like,
Yes.
it's so weird. Like, why was there a witch? Why was Supergirl fighting a witch? I don't understand.
And how does that witch know about the Phantom Zone?
Because I think they were probably going to try and go with the angle someone magic to fight a Kryptonian, because I don't know if that was something new that they had introduced in Superman at that point, or if it was something that had a resurgence.
I think it had been in there, but it was all about trying to do a spin-off and connect everything, which is kind of funny that they've been trying.
Yes.
Warner Brothers has been, I don't even know if it was not Warner Brothers, but DC's been trying and failing at a shared universe since the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're bad at this and they should hire people who are better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's almost like they should hire the team that they know is doing a good job with their characters to manage those characters on the big screen. So
Wow.
it's
You know
like
what's
that-
actually funny? They've also had a good time at a shared universe TV and animated back in the early 2000s.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because that had,
Yeah.
what, like
Yeah.
5 or 6 shows connected to it at one point?
Yeah.
Between Batman, Superman,
Well, yeah.
Batman Beyond, Static, and Justice League.
And
Right.
There was
And, like,
wasn't there
yeah.
another weird one in there? Like,
Well, they had
Bigger
Justice League Unlimited, so
yeah.
quite good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
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 Mhm.
I don't know. Does anybody else
yes.
have anything else?
That,
Go ahead,
that
John.
was my long short is that, podcast last time was a weird experience, first time doing it, etc. And then I found you guys invited me on, and I became more confident because it was much more fun and entertaining.
Oh yeah, well that's because we're not professional at all and we have no
I think that was
Right.
the other thing, that we were trying to make it professional and make it like our thing.
Right.
no.
Yeah.
Like Arlen said,
Yeah,
it's
no.
more at this point we're doing this for each other than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I'll say this. I really love 3 a.m. files.
Yes.
It's my favorite thing that we've done so far.
Yes.
And like this is the first time I'm finding myself thinking that should really just have its own feed already. we should really just like let it fly on its own. We should really try it. But I have to restrict myself because I'm like,
Not
I
to
don't
seem
know.
like Erik, if we ever did that, I would say, let me know. I will do a bunch of research on my familial thing and present it. And we can be like, one of our people talks about how their family member was almost a serial killer.
Yes. That would be
I
perfect.
mean, that should
No,
be
I-
enough at some point. Yeah.
I think that's a good call. I mean, not to go into shop talk during the show, but I mean that's how Chronicles. I think it should be off on its own, trying to fly. Like it can still be like, yeah, and visit our sister stuff. But yeah, I think it should be off on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that could be, but yeah, like this show is also, I guess, if I had to have a third pick, like you guys are the thing that like keeps me going, like specifically the chat, which is a constant source of joy and entertainment for me.
Yeah, I always
Because
enjoy
the things
looking-
that I'll miss and come back and find.
You missed 92 messages.
always
and I have
amazing.
to go back and see what kind of horrendous things Erica's doing.
What, like Arlen dressing up as Big the Cat?
Oh, God.
Doesn't mean the cat in the hat.
Damn you.
Doesn't mean the cat in the hat.
No, not the cat in the hat. I'm not a pervert. Come on. I just need him to dress up as a Sonic the Hedgehog tertiary character.
Definitely not preferred. Good job.
In
Aaron.
my mind, it was just Arlen crying, sitting there while you're shaking like a cat toy in his face.
No, he's shaking a frog. Come on.
Either a frog or a fishing pole.
Oh, to me, it's that like cat toy that's like a pole with a thing at the end. I don't have cats, so I don't know what it's called. And you're just like whipping it into his face, like play with it. It's very much Tusk, except it's you and Arlen dressed as a cat.
I kind of like this idea. Initially, it was just because it was the Sonic the Hedgehog connection. I'm liking where you're going with this, Lou.
Yeah, it's a horror movie where you have kidnapped your podcasting friend and you've dressed him as a cat.
Yes.
You've collected skins from different cats in the neighborhood, and you've made a human cat suit.
Wait,
Wow. Are you going to pitch this to Kevin Smith?
It's called Tusk 2.
No, this is called Whiskers.
Yes. Yeah. I'm getting funding from Kevin Smith for this.
No, all you gotta do is hashtag Whiskers, yes, or Whiskers. No.
Is Whiskers a better name or Calico?
Whiskers.
Whiskers, yeah. Calico would confuse people.
Pause?
Whiskers is...
Tabby?
No, not Pause. Pause is bad. Pause will make people think about a video game. Tabby could work, but I think Whiskers gets the point across really quickly and easily.
Or you can go like Mr. Mittens, or like a weird
That's true.
name.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, hey, maybe if the Sonic the Hedgehog movie does well, Sega will be open to doing more interpretations of their characters.
Yeah, well, this could. Oh, John, you're
house.
onto something there. This could be their Joker. This could be the Sega Universe's Joker.
We have spiraled off so much.
We really have.
It's 9/18.
It's something
Technically
special.
Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Yeah, hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Yeah.
On the East Coast, at least.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah,
It's only close to
3 more
hours.
hours here. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Coming in 20XX will be the dark Sonic the Hedgehog film we've been waiting for, starring Arlen Harrow as Big the Cat and
say
Erik
this,
Fedorczyk
but-
as his torturer.
If I have time tomorrow, I have Photoshop. I can make a poster.
Please
Yeah,
some sort of
Lou, if you do that, I will be forced.
Do it.
Don't.
That'll
Please
be the
do.
cover art for this
No
episode.
say.
Okay.
Do it.
Arlen, you're outnumbered.
Actually,
3-1 here.
Yeah.
I have Photoshop back, so I can do it now. So yeah, that's something. Yeah.
Boo, let Lou do it.
Wow.
Lou will bring out the true horror of this masterpiece I've brought upon the world.
My idea.
Yeah, and then I will
delete.
delete it immediately.
My idea is to just have like it's like True Lies, like a man sitting in a chair, and then it's just you in it's like a cat suit, but then it's
Listen,
just your face.
If Lou can make Hunter and Connor look like the guys from Fantasy Island in Photoshop, then you know what?
True.
Anything's possible.
Now you just need to find a picture of Arlen that you can use parts of to make it look like he's in a cat suit. On that note, I hope everybody enjoyed our show. It was a little bit winding and rambling, but hey, you know, that's what we do here. We're entertaining each other. So all y'all go out and gobble motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Drive safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Watch out for those Mexican gremlins.
God fucking damn you.